So members, I welcome you and thank you for attending. We are starting with theories in administration, and these very theories are the ones we apply in management that we are going to look at. But maybe to begin with, we are going to first see how institutions that we manage, especially institutions of education, come into existence. So we're going to first look at the aspect of how how institutions actually emerge and get into existence. Then we shall look at the various theories of administration and the functions of management upon which these theories are constructed. So for the first part here, we're going to look at how institutions emerge. So based on research worldwide, institutions begin from an individual idea. There is one person who thinks of an idea, generates that idea, and after generating this idea, he can trade that idea to a group of people. So sometimes this idea comes after the person has observed the needs of the people in the community, and sometimes can also be through personal interest. You get interested in something and begin up and then generate an idea. So the individual, or this, if it is traded to a group, seeks to do something about this idea, and then afterwards you name the idea, give an idea the name, such as I put there Max Kindergarten as an example. Then you name the idea. Then that idea is what is organized into a plan. So you generate a plan for that name to come into existence, and this plan comes after doing some research. You do research about the idea that you have and see how fit it can be represented. So you organize the idea one following another until you connect the idea with the resources needed to execute that idea, and from there, that's why we say it's a plan. A plan is a package of organized. It is a package of organized ideas. So that's why I put this young man here who came up with a plan, got an idea, and actually so that he could make some architectural molding of that flat. So now when the idea is generated, for the case of Uganda, that has got to be registered with the Uganda Registration Service Bureau, which is responsible for registering institutions. Possibly the school or the institution that you're leading possibly was registered, and there could be some certificates somewhere from URSB. If it is a sole proprietorship business, it is owned by a single person, then you need to have got a certificate of registration from the Registration Services Bureau, acknowledging that that name belongs to that school and that no one can use it elsewhere. So sometimes some people actually register these names and make sure even institutions that have not yet been um, initiated, you register a name to make sure nobody takes it over. You can reserve it. So now they are sole proprietorship businesses. Those are owned by individuals. At registration, you specify that. Those ones get a certificate of registration. But when it comes to a company, or these days there is a one-person company, which is they have allowed one-person company. But usually companies are owned by more than one person. So if you get together as a corporation or a company, then you need to secure a certificate of incorporation. So institutions that have certificates of incorporation are companies. They can be sued in courts of law. They can lose cases and they can also win cases. But at the same time, if they are existing as companies, they are called limited liability companies. Meaning they can, if they incur losses, the losses don't spread to the owners. The owners don't bear losses. It is the company that suffers, and what? The stakeholders, not the shareholders. Then there are also partnerships.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
What is the difference between a shareholder and a stakeholder?
Okay. Now, the difference between a shareholder and a stakeholder, the difference is in ownership. Is in ownership. What we call shareholders in companies, they are those who have inputted capital to run in the form of physical cash. Shareholders. So they invest in money, and that money is what they consider as their share allotments. And the one who has inputted more has more shares than the others. But stakeholders, those are people who either benefit from the entity, the existence of the entity, or but they are not necessarily that they have shares or they have inputted capital. That without them, without stakeholders, the institution cannot stand. For example, a customer is a stakeholder, though the customer may not be a shareholder. Suppliers, the staff, the community, leaders, then even the government. So after registration, you get those certificates, and then now you have to choose a principal place of business or a principal place of operation. That one you either rent or hire, or others actually have digital spaces. They exist digital. Okay. Then afterwards you register for taxes as well. Registration for taxes, one is required to register with URA for the case of Uganda, and you secure a TIN. So if up there you register the sole proprietorship business, your existence is as a personally owned business, then possibly here you will have to have an individual TIN. But for companies, they are considered to be non-individual. So you get a non-individual TIN. Then after that, you secure the resources needed to run the business, especially You can have the people you're working with, the human resource, the initial finances, and also have other other resources like building, furniture, computer, and other resources that are essential for you to start with. Then after, you obtain a trade license to operate. For schools, they have double registration. When you register with URSB, that's one step. You can also register with for taxes here, but when it comes to licensing or operations, the schools are licensed to operate by the Ministry of Education. That's the licensing body. However, you also have to get a license to operate an ordinary business. Possibly you've seen that in your schools you have a trade license from the municipal council or the town councils. Yet you also need to have a license to operate a school. The license is issued at once. But if you've not got a license, they call them operational permits. They give you an operational permit for like 6 months if you don't meet the requirements for a school operational permit. So schools are licensed by Ministry of Education and Sports in Uganda. But when it comes to health institutions, if it is a hospital or a drug shop, the National Drug Authority has got to approve. If it is a money lending institution, then it is Bank of Uganda. There are various licensing bodies. Then here one can open and launch operations. You can start the business in any place because it has been able to comply in there. Then there are people market, they manage, operate, and afterwards generate finances. So that's the first place we've looked at how institutions actually come into existence. Here, of course, what we call administration is running under management. So one could say that administration is a small segment of management. It is a small unit of management because you manage people who are administering. So the purpose of management entirely is to make sure that there is sustainability of resources and people. So we shall see some theories of management, but all what makes management and administration to coexist is the need to make sure there is sustainability of resources. So to ensure that resources and people are maintained without depletion or wastage, not even spoilage. Why? Because resources are scarce and therefore they need to be managed sustainably. We also see that another core function of management and administration is to develop resources and people. Sustainability only is not sufficient. What sustainability is that things are not depleting but are in existence. So they need to be developed. So this means that resources have to multiply, increase in number without losing the the quality or those standards established. So to sustain and to develop, one needs to master the aspect of regulating time. That's why it is important that every aspect in our administration is managed within schedules and the specific targets. Right? You'll see that when we are looking at some theories, you'll see that efficiency and effectiveness is very key in management and administration. That time is a necessity to measure the attainment of any goal versus time space given. So all these are regulated by time and are translated into finances. If we are doing well, we are generating more resources in the least possible time, then what we are having, we have increasing assets. But when the resources are not increasing, but the demands are increasing, you end up with increasing liabilities in administration. Okay. Now, there are also some other pivotal, the other ones were generic, but core management and administrative functions. And these are pivotal. They are the what we can use to define the existence of management and administration in an institution. They were proposed by a series of scholars, and one of them is Henry Fayot, but also Elton contributed to them. However, in the current times, we have labored to expound these functions of administration and management to capture more, because here it was looking at staffing, but we have added supervision. Then we have also added cooperation, coordination, in addition to controlling. So the summary of these functions is post the corp, this capital P or S, D, C or R and B. That if you are to see that there is administration and there is management in place, then these are the indicators or the functions of administration and management. One of them is that there should be a plan. So planning is a function, that is P. Then there should be policies in that institution that we've established. And these people should be operating with procedures, within procedures. So the flow is always, you have a plan in place, set up policies in line with that plan, but also break down these policies into workable procedures, which people commonly call standard operating procedures. Then here, also make sure that there is an organization, there is another function called organizing. Organizing here, for us to see that the organization is actually organized, You see, an organization which is not orderly, we don't call it organization, we call it a disorganization. So organization means being organized. So this, for an organization to exist and is an organization really, it should have an organizational structure. Organizational structure will always be drawn in this organization to complement this plan, telling us what are the positions and authority of people in this organization. Which positions do we have? Who is on the top of the hierarchy, bottom, and also in the middle? That if this organization structure is not in place, then the organization cannot be organized. There will be conflicts between roles. There will be conflicts between roles, and the organizational goals cannot be achieved in such an environment. So this organization structure will spell who should play what role, and it is what is based on to staff to do this staffing. You base on this organizational structure to do the staffing. So human resource actually find the organization structure already in place and just fit in it. So staffing is looking for the right person with the right skills to fill the right position within the hierarchy at the right time and at the right cost. At the right cost. So if this person is having the right skills, knowledge, and the values needed within this organization structure, and then we have sourced, we know there is sourcing the person, recruitment process is followed, and the person is you call it appointed here, appointed for a position here, then should be supervised. Should be supervised. Supervision is overseeing that the roles of this staff are actually executed by that person, and that the goals are being achieved as predetermined. You will see that even this staff has got to learn about the plan, the policies, and the procedures and follow them. So as we are supervising the staff here, we are actually making sure that we see whether this staff is following those policies and procedures. Then directing role is a role of administration, because now here you're thinking of administration. These people are being directed by the top, their seniors. So there should be those channels that of flow of information from top to bottom. Just want to check here and see whether I do. Okay, we shall see that when we are looking at the bureaucratic systems of management, where authority is flowing from top to bottom, but all administrators heed to the commands of their seniors, and that direction they should be experiencing it at their own offices. Then there is this element of controlling. Okay, research shows that control You cannot control an institution unless their standard is already laid. For example, a budget is one of the control tools for finances. But there are also other control tools for quality. See, like trying to administer a school. Teachers' code of conduct is one of them. It's trying to administer a school without schemes of work. You cannot control. So you cannot know what is actually happening in any class at any instance. Those are control tools.
School rules and regulations to control and discipline.
School rules and regulations will help you to control discipline. Otherwise, people will be calling in discipline, discipline, and discipline in discipline because the standards are not clear. Then here we also have the cooperation. Cooperation is operating with colleagues. It is collegial. Working together to accomplish tasks. So teamwork is built here. With cooperation. Yet coordination, is there a difference between cooperation and coordination? What is
the sequential flow of maybe policies or ideas? Coordination, that flow should be connected to the other.
Yes.
Then cooperation is just communication between
Working together.
So coordination is one department or one office should be its action affects another office. So the interrelation between of various organs or departments is what you do. If it is flowing rightly, well and smoothly, you would say there's coordination. For example, if finances are not released to buy fuel, maybe to go to a field trip, then the field trip will be affected because the finance department has not taken that action. But again, if the teachers have not planned for a field trip, then it will not occur. Then finances will not be released for that. So that's one office affecting another. Then communication. We have communication which is vertical, flowing from top to bottom. That is from seniors to the subordinates. And then also from the subordinates giving feedback to their seniors. But we also have here communication which is horizontal between members, staff to staff, or student to student, and student to staff, horizontal communication. So it has got to be defined so that there is no lag in communication. Like you find a school where to report a fire outbreak, the rule says the students should not report to their head teacher, and so they have to wait. Then reporting here is another function that they have got. Administrators have got to report the activities. Either it's a status report or a progress report from the activities in their respective departments or offices to their senior management. So a sequence of these reports is defined. Is it a monthly report or weekly report? If we don't know that sequence, then possibly people will be demanding for reports, but we cannot actually, they are not available because people were not aware. If they are just instantaneous surprise, it will not be a good administration. Then here you also create a review, like if it is a timely review for various reports, and then the even review of all these plans, so that feedback is given with an integration of various reports from different departments. The other function is that of budgeting. So departments also generate their budgets, and these budgets are integrated in the finance plan, either for the following year. Now we're going to look at, in our next session, we are going to look at the theories that underlie management. So we are going to look at what you call theories, or others call them perspectives of administration.